Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Got Heartbroken and Become Crimson Dragon of Domination Part 4. Before we start, please go support Dorita DK for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. What is the plan? The next day Issei could be found training like a madman while the others were training, could be seen breaking everything around him, and nothing seemed to be touching him anymore. They watched as he blew up a dummy, and the pieces stopped before they hit him. Issei, what is that power, if you don't mind me asking? Issei. All I know is that it's super old abilities and that I'll be able to do more things with given time. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. Kaneko. Have you noticed nothing touches you anymore? Issei. Wait, what? Kaneko. Look. She threw a large punching bag at him and it started to tear into pieces and the contents stayed floating around him. Issei. Well then. He tried to let it drop and it hit the floor. They looked at the mess and Arena came to touch him. Arena. Looks like I can touch him. Kaneko was the next closest person to him and she was able to touch him. Kaneko. Sad I can't. They could see there was a decent amount of space between her hand and his arm and Arena was physically touching him. They watched the mark move to that spot and make a small explosion to make her move her hand away. She quickly pulled away and he grabbed her hand to check it. Issei. Are you okay? This time she was able to have physical contact and the mark didn't move from his arm. Kaneko. I'm fine, it's okay. He held her hand tightly and then let it go. Curious, what was that about? She tried to come and touch him, but the marker pushed her back and Kaneko caught her. They all looked confused as to what was going on with this thing. Kaneko. You don't think that thing knows what we did to him, do you? Asia and Zenobia tried to touch his hand, but they couldn't. Roswis and Ravel came and they could touch him. Issei. Okay then. They all looked at him with concerned faces. Ravel. Dude, this is dangerous. What if someone that doesn't know about magic tries to touch you and ends up having them get hurt? Issei. But, this doesn't make any sense. He walked to Ria's and held her hand, and he was able to. Then he let go when she tried again. It didn't let her touch, but it didn't push her back again. Issei. Okay, this is confusing me. He covered his face with his hands, then sat down and tried focusing on this new power to see how it works. The girls all walked to the side with concerned looks on their faces. Arena. It looks like it is selective of who it allows in and who it lets in. That's just what I've seen. Kaneko. But Ravel is right, this is dangerous. Ravel. None of you are hurt, right? Thankfully not. Kaneko. President, if I didn't catch you, you would have been very hurt. Whatever that marker is doesn't like you very much. Riaz was sad that she was being pushed away physically, but even when she was trying to make a change, something was pushing her away. Ravel. I wonder. She motioned to the girls to relax. She picked up a spear and threw it at him and he caught it with his hand. Issei. Ravel, what's up? They were all shocked that he caught it, let alone knew who it was. Ravel. First of all, you not looking this way yet you knew. Issei. Please, you're in front of me, sitting in front of me. Kaneko. Issei, we behind you by the door. He opened his eyes and looked back and there they were. Swisey. It looks like you gained some hyper perception. They came closer and looked at him. Riaz. You okay if we blindfold you and see what you can do? Issei. Sure, what the harm in that? As they started walking it was like he could see through their bodies and could see their magic flowing through them. Riaz, Kaneko, Asia, Zenobia, and Roswis had red magic flowing through them and in their centers, there was a chess piece feeding and pushing that power around. When he looked at Ravel he could see fire moving around her body and her mother's chess piece regulating her magic. Then when he looked at Arena, he could see her holy magic spreading from the mark on her hand, where he believes her card is. When it came to Kaneko, her colors were more purple than red. Issei. Probably a result of being fallen. He closed his eyes and blindfolded himself and it didn't feel like anything changed. He could still see. Issei. Girls, I can still see. They looked back at him and he was already blindfolded. Riaz. Then let's see how well this works. Riaz, Roswis and Kaneko ran to the front and attacked his head and he blocked all of them and pinned them to the ground. As he was pinning them to the floor, Irina, Zenobia and Kaneko attacked him from his sides and back. He dodged the attacks and from Irina and Zenobia and then pinned Kaneko down. He didn't move when a fireball was sent towards him and it was negated by the weird field around him. Kaneko. I call hacks, that ability is broken. Riaz. He perfectly negated everything, sure, given dragon senses, but that wouldn't give him the power to be able to see us with a full 360-degree range. Issei. You have a mark on the back of your shirt, Riaz. Roswis. Then walked behind her and checked and indeed there was a mark. Kaneko. Looks like it's not just him, he can look around. Issei took off his blindfold and his eyes were predominantly red. Issei. Well, that's going to give me a headache. Wear glasses, it will help with your vision and headaches. He sighed and then started packing up. Arena. What's wrong, Ice? Issei. I'm going to go get sunglasses. He went to the mall and bought a black frameless round pair and put them on. Issei. Yeah, works well for me. He paid for them, then drove to the mountainside side, and then went to his secluded spot in the forest. He raised his hand, and then made a small blade out of drag scales, and it looked like it was part of his armor, and then threw it into a dummy and hit its head, then watched as a Grimoire magic circle opened up and Grafia came through. Grafia? You ready? Issei. Sure, let's go. Grafia. I like the glasses, they suit you. Issei. Thanks. She teleported them away and he found himself in a frozen wasteland. Issei. So Grafia, are we really meeting your family head? Grafia. Yes, with your status, mother has shown some interest in the new family member. Issei. You know, I still find it weird that I'm getting a few of your family features, or it could just be conscience too. Grafia. It is why she wishes to meet you, she wants to confirm it herself. Issei. Well, hopefully this goes well, but dang, I may not normally feel the cold, but this is just crazy. A significant wave ice cold wind washed over them, pushing Issei's hair back and freezing it, but then went back to normal, and ice started to form around his glasses. Grafia. Just relax, if you are getting our features then you should become one with the cold. Issei. Well, I'll give it a try then. They walked into the Lucifuge house and there was not a sound to be heard. Issei. Is everyone home? Grafia. Yes, my mother and her servants live here. My brother has disappeared, but it's not important now. Issei. Whatever you say. They reached the main room and there stood Lady Lucifuge in her glory. Grafia. Mother, I have brought him like you wanted. Lady L. Indeed, he has picked up on our features, yet he's still different. Issei. It's nice to meet you, my lady. He bowed in front of her. Lady L. Call me mother since you are part of the family now. He raised his head and smiled. Issei. Mother, it's nice to meet you. Lady L. Are you cold, Red Dragon Emperor? Issei. I'll be honest, I'm a fire dragon. I'm not as cold as I should be, but I'm feeling a bit chilly here and there. Lady L. Perhaps you will make a good addition, but not with those abilities you now possess. Both Grafia and Issei looked at each other and then back at her. Issei. Right now I know maybe a bit of the story. Tannen said it was very similar to a man who had the Queen of Curses with him. I was told he'll be able to do a lot, but I'm still learning. Like earlier today I was able to have a 360 view around me and those around me, like I can see that there is a blue gem to the right of this room that looks like it's been protected there. Lady L. Indeed, it is the 6 eyes. It is a fine ability, but there is darkness following you whether you like it or not. That curse that has attached itself to you knows what it's doing. He held his hand out and watched the mark move around and then hide itself again. Issei. Well, I'm not sure about that, but these abilities, whether I like it or not, are now a part of me. I'll have to make do with them and try my best to contain them and not let them consume me. Lady L. You have a nice resolve, but your 6 eyes, use them to read your enemy's movements. With more training, you might be able to see how our magic spells were constructed and use that to your own gain. Those eyes break down how a spell is formed, cast and constructed. You could learn a lot from just watching now. Grafia. You seem hesitant about something, mother. Lady L. That mark painted a target on his back, and the more it's used the more danger he brings to everyone around him. As such, I don't want any danger in my home. Issei. That's fair, but if I can handle the threat that comes my way and I make sure not to bring danger to your home or family. Lady L. What makes you think that you can handle the threats that may come if you do not know them? Issei. I'll be honest, I don't know, but I went up against Loki and had him imprisoned, and the same went for Shalba. Diodorus, sure, I didn't kill him, Shalba did, but I still fought even if it meant my death. Lady L. You seem to be quite sure of yourself, then welcome to the family. Issei. Be sure to come and visit from time to time. Venelana talks about you from time to time. Smiles. Issei. Smiling. Sure, I'll come around when I have time. If you can manage to come to the human world, then maybe you can see me singing live in front of other people. Lady L. My daughter will tell me when your next show is. I can't wait to see my new son perform for us all. Issei. Cool. Lady L. All right, you may leave, I will see you around. She turned to Ice and was gone. Issei. Please tell me that wasn't just it. Grafia. Yes, it was. Issei. Well then, let's go home. Later that night, Issei was lying in bed with Irina cuddled next to him sleeping. Issei. It's powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's also dangerous if I don't control it, but it's also the key to unlocking the gate for evil to come through. What do you make of that, Dryag? Greg. I wouldn't know, partner, it's new to me as well, but as a precaution, we can limit the power and monitor it. For now, the dangers of this have been advised by a few people now. Issei. That's what I'm worried about, the danger that comes with it. What is so? And that's whatever is on the other side is waiting for someone to get me out of the way and take the key I hold, but I also wonder what the other keys look like. Greg. A bad one, but I suppose we can be wary and stay on the lookout in behavior changes in those around us with your dragon senses, and now 6 eyes you would be able to tell very quickly. Issei. Yeah, that works. Night, Greg. Greg. Night, partner. The next morning, he woke up and got dressed. Irina. Sleepy honey, where are you going? Issei. Another interview, I'll be back later, promise smiles. He gave her a kiss and she pulled him onto the bed. Being intimate like this was a dream for all of them. Like it slowly started to get hotter as they went. He pulled away and looked into her eyes. Issei blushing, damn it, why do I need to work today? We can continue this later, alright. Irina blushing, sure thing my love. They gave each other a quick peck and then he left again. She heard his car start and then drive off. Ravel. Through the walls, you know these walls are thin, right? I heard all that. Irina started giggling, then the two both burst out laughing with each other. At the Hayato mansion. Nikki. I wonder if Issei will come around today. Riaz. I'm sure he will, but how are you holding up? Auro. Pretty bad actually, with the way things have been going with trying to reconnect with him, but him changing his name the way he did really hurt. Riaz. It was a surprise for us too. He took on my sister-in-law's maiden name. Nikki. You mean Grafia took him in? The Keno. That is correct, yes. Nikki. Deep breath, where did we go wrong? Asia. He has mentioned a few times that you locked him out of the house one night and then he went to a forest and sat in a cave and then the next morning he was in a better place than where he last remembered. Zenobia. She's right, the first time he mentioned it you both had shocked faces and went white and you left the room fast. Mickey sad. You see, the night that happened our family and the Shido family had a massive fight. It was before they moved away. We fixed things and we moved on. Irina's mother wasn't happy about it, but we let that be in the past for both their sakes. They all looked confused. Mickey. You see, I was best friends with Erna's mother. She and I grew up together and when we both fell pregnant, we said we both wished to have girls and when I gave birth to a boy she wasn't so pleased since she gave birth to Irina. We both looked over the fact hoping that they treat each other like siblings, but boy were we wrong. As they grew up together, they both started to become more close. They started experimenting with each other. Erna's mother found her kissing Issei and she snapped. She didn't want them to even bath together. Granted they were young and didn't know any better. She didn't want her child to lose her innocence so soon. Auro. Toji and I tried to plead with her that they were just kids and it was bound to happen sooner or later and if things went well, they would still be together when they were older, but she didn't have any of it and she forced the words of demon child on Issei and the next week they happened to move and Irina was forced away out of Issei's life. But the day they left her we were so angry and frustrated with ourselves we didn't see that we ignored him and a few days after they left the image of demon child was burned into our minds that we took our anger on him when he didn't know what we did and you know what happened after that. He didn't even know she kissed him. Mickey. After venting out our anger and calming down, we then realized a mistake we made and spent the night looking for him. We had search parties and everything looking for him, and when we did find him he should have been dead, but he wasn't. His little heart fraud on. We took him to the hospital and they brought him back to health, but we were told that night he wouldn't make it and when he did we were happy, but something was different about him. He started acting out in different ways, such as breaking things, tantrums, looking for Irina. Then after that his addiction started and we decided just to dismiss it and continue to do so till we just completely ignored him. Riaz. Tearing up. Didn't you get him therapy or anything that could have helped? Nikki. No, we didn't. Even when we thought about it at the time we didn't even have enough money to take ourselves to the hospital, so we ended up hoping and praying he would be alright, but clearly we were the issue, not him. Auro. We put him into anything we could, such as singing lessons and instrument playing, just so we could get him to do something else, but it was too late. We unintentionally cut the stings to our own son, and when he brought you all here, he made a dream of ours come true. I'm not sure if you ever heard us or him say we always wanted a daughter, and the fact he brought us all of you was just the cherry on top, and now look, we have our daughters but not our son. The girls all had a bit of trouble keeping the tears back, but they managed. Haneko. Hey look, Issei is in another interview on TV. She showed her phone blowing up with the notifications. Mickey. Let's go and watch. They turned on the TV and found the channel where he was on. Issei. Well, I'd rather not talk about her. For her own safety she is safe and I don't intend to let the public know her mother just yet. Interviewer. Aw man, such a shame, she looks like such a darling. Issei. Oh trust me she is. Interviewer. Can you answer something for me that has been a debate for a while now? Issei. Go for it. Interviewer. Do you have multiple partners? Issei. Yes, that is correct. The room went silent. Issei. Well, you see, it's a bit complicated. I did have a lot of partners at one stage, but then it became 3 and we are happy with our lives. We each put in the effort to make the relationship work and yes, they all know each other. Yes, that is my life. Interviewer. Shocked. I'm impressed you have the time for school, work and even so much more. It's amazing you have the energy to even have time to go to the gym. They both laughed a bit. Issei. Yay, we gym together. I'll say this, it's not all dreams like one would think. There's a lot to consider and a lot that needs to be spoken about. If not everybody gets hurt, and trust me, that broke me, but now things are better, healthier, and we are happy. Interview. That's still just impressive, but now Issei, can you explain how you came up with your songs? As you know, in Japan, you are the #1 listened to artist to this day, and in the world, you have taken the 3rd most listened to artist behind Drake and Taylor Swift. Issei. Dang, I should really look at my phone more. I didn't even know my manager just keeps telling me I'm doing great and to keep up the work. Interviewer. I know you and Yuta have a tour coming up, and to top it all off, you and her have made the music for the new Scream movie. How did that just happen? Issei. We were bored on the day and looked at the list of people that want to work with us, and since we both like the Scream movies we said why not, and that's how it happened, and going on tour with her. I was against it because I want to finish school, but yet my teacher said no, it's alright, I can go, and they will send a teacher with me, so I can still do the learning when I'm not busy and have the time, which I'll make sure I have. Interviewer. Wow, so they just said you can go. Issei. The video that I'm sure you saw with her and me singing was at my school. She legit came to my class and said, hey, I want you to come with, and that's all she wrote. They started laughing again, almost crying from the laughing. Interviewer. You know, when we see you either on TV or in video, you seem to be such a high status person with like 5 assistants, but in person, you are so relaxed and calm about life. It's a nice change for me, and even everyone here backstage. We were so nervous thinking we need to make sure everything is perfect, then when I got here, I find you helping them like it's no problem at all. Issei. Well, thanks. When I started working I was making a lot of money, but I grew up poor and I used to waste my money on stupid things in adult fashion coughs, but after I got engaged I slowly stopped with it, but then after we had our differences and ended the relationship. Interviewer. Are you two still on good terms? Issei. Yeah, she and I were good last night. Actually we were hanging out with the girls I was in a relationship with. We are still kinda close, not like before, but they got better. We were all jiming last night. Interviewer. Now I have a serious question about this. The picture appeared on the screen of him standing with Azazel, Serziches and Zioticus while he was holding his license. Issei. Laughing. Oh dang, that was a good day. Interviewer. Mind explaining for us please, because out of all your social media accounts, this was the most questionable picture. You just happen to be so good looking, and then you with these 3 handsome men, and neither of you are model, is just a crime to the industry. Issei. Laughing. Right, so the one with the black hair and blonde fringe is my father figure, along with the older looking Withered who would have been my father-in-law, and the younger Withered is like a brother to me, and he would have been my brother-in-law. Females. I want their babies. Issei. Whoa ladies, relax, the 2 Withereds are married and the other one is just getting old. Laughing. Issei and the interviewer were just laughing out loud, then Issei felt his phone ring. Issei. Tearing up from laughing. Oh god, look, he's calling me. He answered his phone, put it on speaker and brought it close to his mic. Azazel. Angry Brad, I won't take you fishing anymore for that. He put down and Issei took a few moments to catch his breath. Issei. Calming down. Woo, that was gold. I'll get him some whiskey or bourbon for his birthday. I'll see you later. Interviewer. Wow, I would love to see a full day of what goes on in your life. Issei. Well, right now I live with my one girlfriend since the other 2 work, and I have a roommate as well, and the 3 of us live in an apartment. Maybe I'll take up that idea when I have a house or 2 in my name, but for now I can show what most of my day is like when I make a song. Interviewer. Go right ahead. Issei. Okay guys, back there, mind getting me a soundboard? He was brought all the things and then hit all the buttons and made a whole lot of disconnected noise. He then turned to the camera and the whole studio was confused. He could see it on their faces. Issei. Trust the process. Then started changing the pitch of a few buttons, then he took a keyboard and randomly played something. Issei. Nope, not right. He adjusted their strokes, then it came to a right sound. Issei. Let me see a guitar quickly. One of the backstage members brought him one, then he played something and tuned it, then went back and played a few sounds, mumbled to himself, then got ready. Issei. Alright, you ready? The people in the studio said yes, and then he started. He started with the soundboard and then played a few keys, then added the hi-hats and claps, then bass as he was singing, and everyone was amazed by his skills. While singing he was slowly changing the timing of everything while he played the keyboard, and then halfway when he pulled the guitar out and made a transition between them so that he shocked the whole world with another song. Song end. Interviewer. Can you do it again? Issei. Sure, want something that I haven't done yet. Interviewer. Yes please. Issei. Oh, alright, let's see. He started another beat and rapping, shocking everyone that he could do it on the spot like this and still change the beat so nicely throughout the song. After playing the song. Interviewer. Whoa, I'm amazed you just made 2 songs and just made it like it was nothing. Issei. Because it is easy, most people don't realize it, but nothing against the other artists, but they tend to overthink the lyrics and the sound and end up sampling and outsourcing a lot of their things, and then sure, the song does well, but it's not from the heart. Interviewer. Thank you for coming. Are we going to be getting a few new songs from you while you are on tour? Issei. Possibly the song I made, a few more love songs to keep a listen out for that. He shook the interviewer's hand and then he left the stage. Back at the house. He is. Wow, he really has gotten good at this, hasn't he? I mean, to just drop 2 songs out of the blue like that, no practice, nothing, just straight from his heart. Roswis. Happy. Well, I guess I'm going with him on tour. Akeno. I wonder if he gives us tickets for a few of them. Asia. I think we can see as we can see later. The next day they were walking to school. Akeno. Oh shoot, I forgot something, go on ahead, I'll go back home to get my stuff. Rias. Sure, the thing, I'll see you at school. She nodded and Akeno started to make her way back to the house. Hey, you stop. She turned around and everything went black. After a few moments she awoke to find herself in a dark room and found her arms tied up above her head. She looked and saw two faces with disgusting looks. Akeno frustrated, what the hell do you want with me? Motohama. Angry, he wouldn't help us when he has multiple partners, so we going to take one of his girls and hurt him. She tried to use her devil strength to break the binds, but it was too hard. She looked confused as to why she couldn't break the binds when she easily could. Mitsuda. Don't try and fight it, we drugged you to keep you awake, but we heard you're a sadist, so you going to love this. They ripped her clothes off and licked their lips looking at her exposed body. With Rias and the others got to school and saw Issei pull into his car, they walked over to them. Rias. Hey Issei, by any chance is Akeno with you? She went back to get something from home, but she hasn't responded to any of my messages, and I can't track her. Issei. Really, she went back? I drove past the house like 5 minutes ago, I didn't even see her driving here, and I was going slow this time, let me try something. He closed his eyes and focused on his hearing, his 6 eyes mixed improved mind reading spell. He pushed himself to get the whole town and started listening for her voice. Rias. He looks so handsome today. Zenobia. I hope that test isn't today. Asia. Mom and Dad miss him, I wonder if I should talk to him about it. Irina. It's not like her to go missing like that, even with teleportation. If she came to the school, we should be able to feel her signature. Her boobs are so soft, man. You should feel her hussy. I can't wait to fully dig in and take her virginity if she hasn't lost it already. Akeno. Please no, someone help, I don't want this. Issei, help me, please. Within seconds, he went running towards the school and an axe kicked the main door in and ran like a madman, alerting the people who saw him start bolting and following him. They watched him smash through a door and they all stood on the outside the door, and the student council came running to assess the situation, and they saw 2 bodies being flung out of the room with their pants off. Issei walked out of the room shirtless, came out, the scars of Fenrir's teeth were still full on his body and other cuts littered all over his body, and his build no one expected from him. Issei. Angry, are you bucking serious, you two? Those parts of the supernatural could feel his magic going wild knowing the dragon is poking at the door. The teachers came to see what was happening and saw the 2 boys. Principal. Mr. Lucifuge, can you catch us up, please? Issei. Angry, this works so well, call the police, I'm going to sort out what they did. He walked back into the room and came back out carrying a Keno bridal style covered with his shirt and Baltzer. They could see by her eyes that she had been drugged. Issei. Angry, sort them out or I'll kill them myself. Motohama. Scared, come on man, don't. Issei kicked him in his mouth, then kicked him into the wall, then kicked him repeatedly in his chest. Issei. Angry, you don't get to bucking, speaker, do you want me to break your ribs? He placed his foot on his chest and cracks could be heard. Mitsuda. Scared, dude, we your friends. He kicked into the wall and Issei kicked him hard enough to break his jaw. Issei. Angry, don't bucking speak, you two are sick, you know that. He walked away leaving everyone in shock. Principal. Call the police and ambulance. Sona. Already done, Sensei Saji has it covered. With Issei he went to the orc club room and sat with her on one of the couches. He looked at her and saw she was crying and clinging to him for dear life. Akeno. Crying, I'm sorry you had to help me sniff, they caught me off guard and drugged me, it messed with my strength and I was weak. She cried into his chest and he brought her close and stroked the back of her head. Issei. Please tell me if I got there in time and I wasn't too late. Akeno. Crying, no they didn't only touch me, they were about to, but you showed up. Issei. What else did they say or do? Akeno. Crying, why we're planning to grape me to get back at you for not helping them get girls. Issei. Thank you for telling me that, I'll handle them myself, no one hurts the ones I love. He kissed her forehead and wrapped his arms around her. Akeno. Tears in her eyes plus shock, do you still love us? Issei. Chuckles, yeah I still you love all, sure we had a fight, but we all needed time to calm down, don't you think? Akeno smiling, yes, but what now, what happens between us? Issei. I'm not sure, you girls still have some proving to do. Ravel did say you admitted to not really knowing much about me as a person, but you are making the effort. Akeno. That's right, sniff, I even started to learn some spicy dishes that you could like. Issei. Then I look forward to it, let me know when you make it, like to taste some. Akeno. I'm sure I will. Issei. Issei. Akeno. Calming down, are we ever going to be like we were before the fight? Not having you by my side while I sleep breaks my heart every time we have to sleep. Issei. I'm not sure, I've changed a bit, so have you now, don't get me wrong, but I thought you were a sadist. Akeno. It's only stuff I want to do with you, you are the love of my life, and there are things that you can bring to my life that others can't. I can't speak for the others, but we do feel the same way if not more since you left, and I was serious when I said I want you to be my husband, no other man can replace you. Issei. I see, well I think give it some more time, and maybe things will come back to how they were, but not fully. I have Irina, Yasaka and Roswas are a big part of my life now, so it's not going to be the same, but normal again. Akeno. Happy, I can live with that. Issei. You still a little drugged? I'll message Roswis to tell them that you still need some time and that everything is fine. Akeno nodded and watched him type the message and then put his phone down. She got more comfy in his warmth. Issei. You can sleep, I'll watch over you, no one will hurt you again. She nodded and closed her eyes. She slowly fell asleep and relaxed and let her rest. He heard the door open and saw Ria's Sona and the principal walk in. Principal. Mr. Lucifuge, how is she? Issei. She's alright, told her to sleep for a bit and I'll watch over her, but I'm assuming with Sozo here as well you want to finish the report. I nodded. Issei. Well, she told me that they did this to get back at me for not helping them get girlfriends, and they wanted to grape her to do so. They drugged her to the point where she could be fully awake, but had no strength to try and fight back. Principal. And did they do anything to her or did you make it just in time? Issei. Just in time, knowing those two sadly they probably got into an argument about who gets to go first. I got there just in time, but she's fine, which is why I'm letting her rest to sleep off the drugs. Principal. Thank you, if you don't mind tomorrow the police want both your and her statements about the situation, and I told them that I'll bring the two of you to the station for the reports. Issei. Cool, I have no issues. What happened to the other two? Principal. Well, you did crack Motohama's ribs and skull and broke his jaw, and Mitsuda his jaw is shattered and he has some torn ligaments in his neck. I'll say I didn't expect you to be that strong, Mr. Lucifuge. Issei. She lives with my family along with Ria's. I made a promise to their families to protect them and intended to do so no matter what. Principal. I see, I must thank you. In the many years of this school's life we did fear that this would happen, but we were case-free and now we have one. I want to thank you before it got worse than what it did. Issei. It's no problem at all, I'll do it again if I have to. The principal smiled and bowed and left, leaving Sona and Ria's with him. Sona. On the other side of things. Issei. Her magic really has been weakened, it's why we didn't sense her. Ria's. Thank you, Issei. Sona. The teachers have given you and Ria's clearance to leave school due to the fact multiple people said you two are the closest to her and my knowledge of your relationship with her. Issei. Cool, I'm sure if things go well when she wakes up in a few, then I'll take her home. It really does look like they injected her with a lot. I mean, look at this. He showed the side of her chest and saw multiple spots where the injections were done. Sona. So be it, let me know how she is afterwards. Ria's. Sure thing. Sona bowed and left the room. Issei. How are you doing? Your queen nearly got hurt a lot today. Ria's didn't say anything, but the tears started forming in her eyes. She fell to her knees and then cried while holding Akeno's hand. Issei started to read the emotions in her heart. Ria's. I'm sorry, I'm not strong enough to protect you like I'm meant to. It's my fault Issei isn't with us. It's my fault, screw up that made us lose him. And now I nearly lost you too. I'm sorry I didn't realize it sooner. Please forgive me, it's my fault you were put in a situation like this. Issei pulled her off the floor and brought her into a hug next to him. Issei. This isn't your fault, nobody's perfect. You've been putting a lot of pressure on yourself and things went wrong. We can't always control how things go, but we can always make the best of it. Now relax, alright, be happy she's alright for the most part. She nodded and rested her head on his shoulder, trying to get control of herself and calm down. After a few minutes she calmed down and stayed in Issei's embrace. She looked at his chest and saw the bite marks. She started gently tracing them with her finger, remembering how badly he was hurt that day. Ria's. Issei, how come you still have these scars? I thought we removed them. Issei. They never really left, they have always been there, you just haven't seen me shirtless in a while. Ria's. Oh. Issei. What's on your mind? I know I can read minds and all, but I want you to say it. Ria's. I'm sorry. Issei. Sorry for what? Ria's. I'm sorry for the fallen angle that killed you, and then you nearly getting killed again. All of it. I knew they were around, and I didn't deal with it the way it meant to by driving them out of the town like I was meant to. I wasn't a good master to you either, and you struggled through everything, and then we all turned on you and pinned you for the issues that I got angry for. The first night after you left I remembered that I told you to call me president or master, and I still got angry because you did as I told you and forgot, and we had a fight because you wouldn't call me by name. I also didn't realize that you were still all so new to everything, that it also probably put stress on you as well, with not being a high class and still being engaged to me, and with my mother doing as she did by making you take the role as my husband before anything was finalized. Issei. It's okay, I forgive you. She looked at him shocked and confused by it all, but she just hugged him and shed a few tears. Issei. Chuckles. Hey, don't get all emotional again, you just compassed yourself. Ria's. Tearing. You just don't know how happy hearing you say that made me feel. I'm so happy you don't hate me or us anymore. Issei. Sure, I was angry, but I didn't hate you guys. You forget you don't stop loving someone, it's a habit for a little, then it becomes an emotion that won't change. Ria's. I love you, I was an idiot for taking my anger out on you and not talking about it like with you in private. Issei. I love you too, but you all still have proving to do before anything happens. Like I told Akeno, things aren't just going to go back to the way they were, things changed, and we all need to be aware of the changes that happened. Ria's. I know, and I've been looking into your music and I've started listening to some other bands that your mom remembers that you liked, Issei. And I'm glad you guys are all putting in the effort, but come on, let go and get her cleaned up. Riaz nodded and then she pulled out a blanket and covered her with blanket. Issei carried her to his car and then he let Riaz in and they drove off. After talking to Issei, the principal informed the rest of the school of the situation and that Akeno is alright, and Issei got to them just in time. In the car, Riaz. Wow, this car is so nice. Issei. I know, I think this is the first time either of you have been inside it. Riaz. Yes, it's true, but I can see both Irina and Ravel sitting in this car, their hair ties are everywhere. They both started chuckling, and Issei drove to the house. They took Akeno to the bath. She slept soundly in the car. They took her upstairs and he ran a bath while Riaz got clothes ready for Akeno. He dropped her into the bath, and Riaz washed her while he went to go and make some food for everyone. When they got home after they gave her a bath, they brought her to the living room and covered her with a blanket. Issei finished cooking something quick for him and Riaz to eat. He made some for Akeno in case she was hungry when she woke up. He brought the food for Riaz and she was amazed by it. The bowl had some beef noodles with both pork and beef pieces. Riaz. Wow, when did you learn how to cook like this? Issei. Back when I thought I was going to die, I decided to do some cooking and read a few cookbooks, and surprise surprise, I'm actually good at cooking too. Riaz. I can't believe it, this looks amazing. She took a bite and he could see the excitement on her face when she took a bite. Issei. Hey, it's not that special really, everyone needs to know how to cook, so I'm only doing the best I can right now. Riaz. Issei, this is really good food. I think if your music didn't work out, you would make a really amazing chef. Issei. Smiling, oh, you're too kind. MMM. They looked at Akeno and saw her looking uncomfortable and pulling a face in her sleep. Issei got up and sat next to her and moved her to his side while he sat across the couch and she got comfy again. Issei. I think it's a comfort thing I don't mind for today. Riaz. Even in her sleep she's still fighting for your affection. Issei. It's weird being wanted. Riaz. Confused, what do you mean? Issei. A little over a year ago I was in the worst state, my parents never saw it, but my depression hit hard and things were miserable for me. I really thought I would never be loved or even wanted like this. If I told my past self about this, he would have his world blown away. Riaz. Well, even so, you are very handsome, better looking than your dad by far. Issei. Really? Riaz. Looking away, yeah, you are very handsome. Issei. So if I wasn't a pervert and had a decent reputation, you think maybe we had a shot? Riaz. Blushing, maybe, I don't know. Issei. Cool. Riaz. Issei, with all these changes, are you really happy? He looked at her and then back down at Akeno. Issei. I think so. I think I needed the wake-up call more than even I realize. Since that day my life became something that could only be written in books or dramas, and I'm happy. Riaz. I'm glad. The rest of the day Issei and Riaz made some small talk while Akeno slept off the drugs. Between Riaz and Issei, it started to feel like the spark between them started to become ignited. By the end of the day, the rest of the girls came back to find them in the living room. Erna. Hey, we hear, how is she? They all came toward Issei and found her sleeping beside him while he and Riaz were watching TV. Issei. Yay, she's alright, she's been asleep for the day, sleeping it all off, she should be okay, nothing happened to her, I was in time. Roswas. Oh, that's good. She came to give him a kiss and Irina did the same. They all put their things down and sat around the TV area. Hineko. Slight blush on Issei. Issei. Hineko. Blushing, can I sit on your lap, please? He looked at how he was lying on the couch with Akeno by his side. He adjusted Akeno gently and made a place for her. Issei. Come on. She came closer and gently got on his lap to not disturb Akeno, and she started purring. He rubbed her head and she smiled. She then laid down with him. Issei. So how was school after this morning's incident? Zenobia. Well, after you beat down those two and they were taken to the hospital, the guys of the school started a group to watch each other to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Asia. Everyone is praising you as well, saying even though you were angry you handled it pretty well. Issei. I had to imagine I went full dragon on them. Ravel. You would have killed them. Issei. I'm going to kill them. Back when it was just me and them they had some bucked up fantasias, I just didn't think they would go that far. Riaz. What were they like? Issei. Some of it involved what they did today and the rest of it involved a horse, and that's all I'm saying, that's not really my cup of tea. They all shook off a shiver and looked at each other after realizing what he was talking about. Issei. Anyways, the drug should hopefully wear off sooner or later, they injected her a lot, it's why we couldn't even pick up on her magic, it's the sheer amount would have killed a human, but it just made her super weak. He was stoking her back and they saw her smile, he felt her get more comfy around him and he let her. Irina. Looks like she really comfy and happy. Riaz. Well, to be fair, most of us want to be in that spot. Roswas. Who am I kidding, it's the best spot. Hineko. So what happens now? Issei. Well, there is an event coming up, then after that it's the tour and finals, then Riaz and Akeno go to university and we go up a grade. Asia. Time really flies, don't you think? Issei. It sure does. Fame and fortune. Issei, Irina and Ravel ended up staying at the mansion, and all slept in the living room. Issei slept with Akeno in his arms, letting her rest up in comfort. The rest slept around him. Issei found himself in the void again, but this time the doors in front of him were a black one and a white one, and the red and orange one went away. He was able to see more of his old house. He walked through the black door again, and found that he could see more of his old room. It was now filled more with Yuma, but Rainer at the same time. Issei. So you're still here, why? He looked at the girl on his bed and she smiled. Rainer. That's right, I'm back baby, I'm never leaving you, not now, not ever. Issei just sat down on the chair in the room and looked at him on his bed. Issei. Do you mind telling me why? Rainer. I don't think I can help you with that, grinning. Issei. Rainer. You will understand soon enough that the mark you have shown your heritage. Issei. Tell me, are you the manifestation of those abilities? Rainer. That's for you to say, not me, Issei, but I think it is time to start accepting the smiles. She slowly started turning into something else that he didn't recognize, with large teeth and large black tendrils, and they slowly started covering him, but he didn't react. Rainer. Creature, don't forget to breathe. The black mass covered him up entirely, and he found himself in a different place in the house. He looked out the window and found that the town had been leveled, and he could see the massive creature floating in the sky. Its head slowly looked towards him, and he could feel its non-existent gaze on him. Soft laughter. So you have the gift that I need. The world around him imploded and he woke up, took a sharp deep breath, looked around, and saw the girls all looking at him with tears in their eyes. He held his head and quickly left the room. He went to the bathroom and looked at himself in the mirror. His hair started to look white, and his eyes were both now fully red. He checked the rest of his body. I don't like that lady. Issei. I can't really trust you, but are you good? Yes, I suggest telling Drake that the mark isn't good or bad, it's neutral, work with it or against it. Drake. I don't like this. He looked at the mark on his arm, it looked normal as can be. He brought out the gear, and it looked normal. Issei. Drake, talk to me, buddy. Drake. Your body went cold and you stopped breathing again. This time it was longer than any of them were ready for. What happened? Issei. I spoke to Rainer. Silence. Issei. I'm sure you heard the voice that spoke a few seconds ago. I'm going to need to focus on this. You and I know that I have very decent control of my dragon abilities, but this new stuff needs to be worked on for the better. I also think my 6 eyes is letting me see the future. Greg. What did you see? But the girls waiting for him outside, they knew he was going to come back, but the fact he was dead made it worse. They didn't like the feeling, and they could see it on Roswis's face. She was also off about it. Irina. Worried, so this was longer than last time. Roswis. That's right, he came back almost instantly the first night it happened. It just felt long for me, because I was stressing that he died. Riaz. There has to be a reason behind this. Akeno. I know something felt off about it. I didn't expect him to go that cold so quickly. Hineko. His mind was racing when he woke up, you could see it. They watched him come back into the room and sat down and had his arms open, and they all came gently to hug him. Irina. My love, what happened? Issei. I can't tell you, I have no idea what's going on. Ravel. Can you tell us what you saw? Issei. I spoke to Rainer, but there was something wrong with her, but Hess natural, she's not the issue. They were concerned Hess speaking to someone who was dead and Hess not sure what Hess seeing anymore. Riaz. Issei, tell me something, please. Issei. Sure. Riaz. Did you actually get over her? Issei. I don't know, when I used the drive she was there mocking me and I could only hear her voice. Riaz. Issei, listen to us, it's time to move on from her. She never loved you like you did. Issei. I know. Irina. She's right, my love, you know this. What does your heart say? Issei. It doesn't know right now, I'll figure it out, don't worry about it. They nodded and hugged him. Ravel. Hey, when is your next concert? Issei. End of this week, the tour starts on Sunday. Irina. Who do you want with you for the trip? Issei. The first stop is Kyoto, can we see after then? She nodded and he snuck into the couch and slowly fell asleep again. Irina played with his hair and they looked at how much his hair had changed, but it still looked like his own. Asia. Let's get breakfast ready, so long. Riaz, Irina, Ravel and Akeno nodded. Zenovia. Well, watch him to make sure he doesn't do that again. Roswis. Shush, right. The others nodded and left the kitchen. Hineko looked at him and started tracing the lines on his body with her finger, feeling the heat coming from them, and watched the mark move to her finger, but then moved away. Hineko. Maybe it's getting used to us. Zenovia. Time skipped to the rest of the week. Issei found himself driving with Yuta in his car towards Kyoto. Yuta. I like going this fast. Issei. Then hold tight, him hardly pushing it. He sped off even faster, passing traffic. She started a live stream on her phone and she was showing off Issei driving between traffic and drifting around. Others saw this and watched him. Issei. Don't do this, you can get into trouble. I probably will as well. They started laughing and they started singing. The viewers loved the song, blowing up X, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. Yuta. Laughing, make sure you get your tickets, we will be dropping new songs at every event. She ended her live stream and Issei started driving normally. Issei. Nice, that'll be sure to make them get their tickets. They arrived in Kyoto and went to the temple with Yuta. She was amazed by the scenery. Yuta. Ice, why are we here? Issei. Well, I need to see my girlfriend, why else? Yuta. But they not here. Issei. I know. They stopped and he got out. Within seconds he was tackled by a small child. Issei. Chuckling, hey Kauno, how are you? Kauno. Great, thanks, when mother told me you were coming I couldn't wait. Issei just pulled her into a tight hug and she hugged him back. Yuta. Coughs. Issei. Right, sorry, sweetie, this is my friend Yuta, we going to be performing tomorrow night in Kyoto. Her eyes went wide with excitement. Kauno. Hello, Kauno, the Fox Princess. Yuta. Hey there, it's nice to meet you, Kauno. Issei here says Hess here to meet his girlfriend, but I only know of two, do you know who she is? Kauno. She's my mom. It was like glass shattered in Yuta's head. Yuta. What? This caused a lot of other guards to come running to see what was going on. Withered. Issei, sir, is everything alright? Issei. Oh, what up guys, yeah, everything is fine. He greeted all of them and gave them a handshake. Issei, is that you? Yuta looked to the side and saw the most stunning woman she had ever seen in her life. Issei. Hey babe, how are you? He walked up to her, gave her a kiss, and then looked at Yuta. Issei. Yuta, this is my girlfriend Queen Yusaka, the Yakai Queen. Yuta. Nah, you really are built differently. You have this stunning woman as your girlfriend, don't get me wrong, the others are beautiful, but dude, no wonder your friends did what they did out of jealousy. Issei. Laughing, I guess I really am just different. Yusaka couldn't help but chuckle a bit. Yusaka. She's a fun one. Issei. Yeah, she is supernatural like us, but she hasn't seen much of this side of life. Yusaka. Make yourself at home, dear, feel free to walk around and explore the grounds, see this as your new home when you are around. Soft smile. Issei. Now then, get comfy, this is where we staying, we not going to any hotels, the others will be here soon enough. He and Yusaka walked away and Kauno went to play with the other children. Yuta. Dazed, what is his life? She went and took her bag out of his car and a guard came to help her to her room. When she was brought to her room she was impressed with it. It was modern enough, yet on the outside it was very traditional. She got herself settled in, then she could feel a magic signature rise, then come down. She looked outside and saw a large group girls whom she recognized. Yuta. Looks like they arrived. She came out to greet them and they saw her walking towards them. Arena. Hey Yuta, where's Ice? Yuta. He walked off with Lady Yusaka somewhere. Hineko. Maybe he went to have a session of healing arts. Yuta. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't seen him for a while now. They shrugged it off with Issei. He was indeed having some much needed bedroom art. After a few hours he and Yusaka came out of the bathroom, both covered with love bites. Issei. That was needed. Yusaka. Indeed, I think we both needed that. He took her hand and they walked to the others, busy relaxing and having some tea. Issei. Hey everyone. They looked at him and saw the love bites around both necks and a few of them couldn't help but smirk at him. Arena. Looks like you had a fun time. Issei. Oh, you bet I needed another session of bedroom arts. He and Yusaka sat down and poured some tea for them. Yuta. You living a dream, you know that. Issei. Oh, don't I know it, isn't that right everyone? One. All. Yay, giggles. Ravel. So dude, when is your concert starting? Issei. Well, tomorrow Yuta, and I have a press tour around the city to sell more tickets. Yuta. Then we have practice and then I have makeup and hair and you have hair. Issei. Yeah, when I think about it, I believe we going to be starting around 6 p.m. tomorrow. I think it will say on the ticket, I just know I'm going to be super busy tomorrow. Rias. Seems like a packed day. Issei. But that's the fun part, we literally driving around giving out some free tickets to some, others are getting autographs, they even got me clearance to speed around and cause havoc for the concert. Yuta. Yeah, we probably not even going to see you all till afterwards. Issei. Unless they in the chorus want merch when they already have some. He looked at them, looked away from him. Issei. Girls, you have tickets and merch. Arena. But it's not signed by you though. He got up and whispered in her ear and she started to blush. He then did the same to Roswas and she also couldn't stop blushing. She covered her face with her hands and the other girls looked at him confused. Issei. Then for the rest of you, I'll wear and sign anything you want. They couldn't help but smile a bit. Akeno. Smiling, I'll take it. He walked closer to her and raised her face towards his. She couldn't help blushing with him being so close. Issei. You look good, glad to see you're doing better. Smiling. She had a large grin on her face with some blush. Issei. So my dear, what's for dinner? Yusaka. Well, we have your favorite with a lot of other foods for everyone else. Issei. Smiling, perfect, let's eat. The helpers came and brought the food for them and Issei started eating his spicy food while the rest were eating their normal food. Akeno. What is that dish? I wouldn't mind learning how to make it. Issei. Oh, it's a spicy stew with beef, same as you always make, just add some more chilies in. Rias. But the way she makes it is different compared to everyone. Issei. I know, which is why I'm telling her to make her stew with chilies. He took a bite and the others could see Akeno smiling again, happy to know he missed her cooking. After dinner, the girls all went to bath, but it was silent. Akeno. Arena, can you tell me something, please? Arena. Sure, ask away. Akeno. What does Issei like to eat? Arena. Well, he misses your stew a lot. We both tried one night to make it one night and he ended up making a really nice stew, but it just wasn't the same. I even missed your stew. Ravel. Well, he seems to miss a lot of his food cravings. He and I have been eating a lot more cake than normal, and then to top it all off he has the same coffee in the morning that you would have in the house. I found myself some mornings back at the apartment that I thought I was back at the house with you all. Rias. Interesting, I wonder why. But Issei outside. He was walking around the Zen gardens enjoying the night. It was quite too quiet. He walked around to see what was going on and he saw something coming behind him and dogged the blade flying past his head. He grabbed it and looked at it. He turned back and he didn't see or sense anything. He traced it back to where he last felt a presence and saw no sign of there being anyone standing there. He looked up and didn't see anything. Issei. Great. Greg. Be on your guard, maybe our friend that randomly made her appearance will come back. Issei. We better be careful now, but I can't let any of them know that someone is following us. He saw another object flying towards him. He pulled his blade out and pointed it, but only saw it was Kauno. Kauno? Something wrong. She tilted her head in confusion. Issei. I don't know, have you seen this before? He showed her the knife. Kauno? No, I haven't. Where did you find it? Issei. Don't worry about it. He destroyed it with his new barrier and looked down at Kauno again. Issei. Why are you out so late? Shouldn't you be in bed? He took her hand and they carried on walking around the Zen garden. Kauno? You not taking me back? Issei. Well, you're with me so I think it's fine, just don't make it an everyday thing, but for now it's alright. Kauno? Well, I wanted to talk to you about something important. Issei. What is it? He was calm, he was happy that she was able to come to him with her problems, and to top it all off he was happy to help. Kauno? You see, I wanted to know. Issei. Relax, don't overthink whatever it is, no matter how big or small or how important or not. I'm not going anywhere. She was shocked when he said this. She took a deep breath. Kauno? Can you be my new dad? He stopped when she said this, his eyes went wide, she could see it, her heart started racing. She thought she shouldn't have asked him that. She tried to run away, but he grabbed her before she could and crouched down in front of her. Issei. Before I answer that, why do you want me to be your dad? She gripped her clothing and looked down at the ground. Kauno? You see, whenever you are around, or coming mother is always making sure everything is perfect from her clothing to what is served, and when you are here it's like we are a family. You make time for the both of us, even when you didn't know us you were still so nice. When my mother had other men coming to see her because they wanted to marry her, she always denied them, but with you she's happier. I'm happier. Issei. Are you sure you want me as a dad? I'm not perfect, I make mistakes, but being part of your family with you and your mother wasn't one of them. Kauno? Tearing up. Yes, please be my new dad. Issei. Yes, I'll be your new father. She jumped into his chest and started crying from joy. Issei just held her tight, not wanting to let her go. He walked back to the temple and the others saw her hugging him and crying, and he had a few tears himself. Isaka saw this and quickly ran to them. Isaka worried, what happened to you both? She started checking them and the other girls came to check on him too. Issei. Smiling, nothing for them to worry about, isn't that right, Kauno? Kauno smiling, sniff. No dad, nothing for them to worry about. They both started chuckling. They watched as they all started processing what was going on, then they all squealed in excitement for them. Both Isaka pulled them both into a hug and shed tears as well, happy from the news. Arena. Congratulations my love. Issei. Congratulations Ice. Others. Congrats Issei. Kauno. They sat down and had some tea before going to bed. He tucked Kauno into bed and walked out with Isaka. Isaka. Looks like our bond is becoming stronger. Issei. Which is perfect. Now then, I want you to sleep well tonight, okay? I think it's time I spent some time with my angle. Isaka. Indeed, she is waiting for you. He gave her a kiss and he walked to her room. He found her kneeling in front of the moonlight, praying. He sat behind her waiting for her to finish her praying before distracting her. As she finished, she slowly turned around and found Issei waiting for her. Arena. Light blush. Issei. When did you get here? Issei. That doesn't matter, I've been neglecting my angle. He brought her into a hug and just held her close. Issei. Now this is right here where you belong, in my arms. Arena. I miss this. Issei gently lifted her head and gave her a kiss and they slowly started getting more intense. He pulled away. Issei. Whispers out of breath. Wait, we can't, I don't want you to fall. Arena. Whispers out of breath. No, it's alright, it's safe for me, as long as it's with you. She closed a gap between them and started kissing him again. He slowly started removing her shirt and bra and she started working on his own top. He moved her onto her back and pulled the blankets over the two of them. Not doing the rest, sorry. The next morning the two watched the sunrise. Issei. Last night was amazing. Arena. I couldn't be happier. She was running her finger over the markings on his body and he was gently rubbing his back. Issei. You're going to be a great mother. He brought her clothes and kissed her forehead. She grinned at him. Issei. I don't want to leave, but I need to meet Yuta to go and have a press meet and still handing out some free tickets. Arena. I know, I was still surprised that we went that far. Issei. How are you feeling? Not too sore? Arena. No, surprisingly I'm not sure. Last night there was a bit of weirdness, but now it's alright. Smiling. Issei. I'm glad. I don't want you sore. I don't want the others to know about our time together. Roswis and Yusaka are the only exceptions, maybe Ravel, but I want things private between me and my ladies. Irina. No, don't worry about it, I'm serious. Fine, I'll be alright now, go have fun. Issei. I don't want to, I want to stay with my angle. Irina. If you don't go now I'll kick you out of bed. Issei. Fine, but first. He gave her a deep and passionate kiss, got freshened up and dressed, then quickly left. Irina herself took her time with her morning routine, and once she was done she met up with Roswis and Ravel, busy having some tea with Kano and Yusaka. Irina. Morning, all. Morning, Irina. She took a cup and poured herself some tea and started drinking. Ravel. So last night. She instantly choked on the tea, and the others giggled at her. Ravel. You good? I was going to ask how you slept last night. Irina. Right, I slept amazingly actually. They watched as a blush appeared on her face. She started fidgeting, then they saw the bite marks on her body. Ravel. Confused, dude, what the hell? Roswis. What attacked you like this? Yusaka. Relax girl, she spent the night with Issei. She moved her yukata a bit and they saw more bite marks in a similar fashion. Yasuka. Roswis, you next in line to get the marking. Hess, mark the two of us now. Roswis fell over and had a blush on her face. Roswis. Freaking out. Not ready, not ready. Irina. Please relax, you going to freak out. Kano. She looked at Kano and she was watching her with a confused look. Kano. She wouldn't really, if anything she looks like she is drunk again. Ravel. Now that I believe. Irina. Hey, I just noticed, where are the others? Ravel. Oh, they left to the streets early this morning to try and get some merch from Issei and Yuta. Irina. Sure, he left a box in my room with everything he was going to give us anyway, plus we have tickets too. Yusaka. They are still young, and I can see they still hurting with how they hurt him. The redeed the most, they want to be part of his life by any means that will make it right in their eyes. Kano. Didn't daddy forgive them? Ravel. Yes he did, but earning it and getting it are two different things. They want to earn it, even though Hess forgiven them. Roswis. If anything, Hess fine with them around, but sure they will figure it out. Ravel. You know they have a better chance right now if they threw a knife at someone. Kano. That happened to daddy last night. They all looked shocked. Yusaka. My child, please tell us what happened. Kano. I don't know, but when I went to see him last night in the garden he was holding a long knife. I saw him catch it from behind him. When I went closer he saw me and asked me if I've seen it before. I hadn't. Irina. Weird, don't you think? Ravel. There's a few people that could pull something like this. They were very quiet, I almost forgot about them. Roswis. Yusaka, do you think you could increase the patrols around here and also increase the watch around our rooms and so forth? Yusaka. Consider it done. But Issei and Yuta. He was in his car drifting around Kyoto making noise and the people loved it. They had strapped a large speaker to the car and he spoke into it. Issei. Good morning Kyoto. Yuta. I want you to make some noise. The whole city started cheering for them as Issei started to make a burn. He had colored smoke. It was red and white, matching both him and Yuta. The crowd started to build up and he took a camera that was casting to all the large screens around Kyoto. Issei. Right, everybody who's ready for some fun. He heard some girls making noise. They started to hear music playing and Issei started singing. Everyone was shocked that they released a song like this and performed the whole day for everyone. As he sang he saw Rias and the others watching him. He smiled at them and continued dancing with Yuta. He then passed the mic to Yuta and they both started walking around while singing while he held the camera, handing out random things to the lucky few that he got to first. Everyone who knows him watched as he was having fun handing out things, but a few were surprised as his part of the song happened. He pulled Rias Akeno Zenobia Asia and Kaneko with him to hand things out to him. Back at the temple, Irina and the others were watching. Kano. Looks like fun. Irina. Sure tonight is going to be more fun. Roswis. I agree. They continued watching the broadcast while Yuta sang around the city. Things like this continued the whole day and around 3 p.m. they slowly slowed down and both stood on top of his car and he spoke into the megaphone. Issei. The party's moving to the stadium, we hope to see you all there. They got into his car and started speeding towards the stadium. Back in the temple, the girls were all ready to go see his live performance. They teleported to the VIP room and found Issei and Yuta busy drinking energy drinks and taking soothing agents for their throats. Irina. Seems like you had fun. Issei. No joke, tired laughing, but having fun. Yuta. This new marketing strategy is a pain because now we producing easy throwaway songs to sing in the streets and then save the really good ones for the concert. Asia. I can heal you if you want. Akeno. I can too. Roswis. I can lend a hand too. Issei. I'd love the help, please. They came and started healing the two of them to give them some more energy again. Issei. Who let go enjoy the show, we have to go get ready for some other shenanigans for tonight, but go through that door there and you'll make it to the VIP section which is dead center for you to watch. Ravel. What are you planning? Issei. Smiling nothing. He and Yuta quickly ran away, both with grins on their faces. Brace. They planning something, how no? Then let go and see where we sitting. If you had to look at her, she was shaking with excitement with a massive smile on her face. As they decided to walk to their seats, they saw how big this place was, with one of Yuta's songs playing. And where they were sitting, no one could or will get in. There was a lot of guards around the booth, making sure no one was getting in. As they walked in, one guard stopped them and looked at a book with photos, and then let them in. They saw the other band members' families and some friends, and they decided to mix in with them. After 20 minutes the lights dimmed down, and they heard Issei's voice. Issei. So recently I've been asked about my love song, so ladies and gentlemen, this is for my girlfriends. They heard the music start and the music started, and as he sang they fell in love with his voice. They were all shocked that he made another song for all three of them, and what made it even better was he started walking closer to them. A bridge made way to the VIP section, and he brought all three of them back to the stage with him while he sang, and the crowd cheered. He got down on one knee and pulled out 3 boxes, and they heard so many gasps as the song slowed down. The three nearly started to tear up when they realized what he was doing. They all three nodded and tackled him into a hug and kiss. He placed the rings on their fingers and the crowd went wild. Yuta then came onto the stage with a microphone. Yuta. Right, ladies, take a seat here. Issei has another surprise for all the women here tonight. They could hear their voices in confusion. Arena. Huh, what do you mean for all? Roswis. This is too much already. Iskaka. What does he want to do now? They took a seat and the music started playing. Yuta. Someone covers his daughter's eyes, she don't need to see this. Rias quickly covered her eyes. He started to rip his clothing off and started dancing for the three of them while singing. Their eyes went wide, they were dumbfounded at all the things he could have been doing. He decided to start like this. Every woman, single, married or in a relationship, all came to a unison agreement. Hess number 1 on their list. He looked more cut and more built than Hess ever looked. His markings, it made the whole package look perfect. When he was done, the guys came and gave him clothing and he got dressed all over again. Issei. Now then, Yuta, you all take my girls back to their seats. Yuta. Sure thing, cowboy. She started singing a song while the 4 of them left and they all started hitting him on his shoulder. Arena. Don't you ever do that in front of others again. Roswis. As much as I loved it, let's keep that for us. Isaka. I wouldn't mind seeing more of that every day. He was just laughing and pulled them into a hug. Issei, happy now, it's going to be us from now on. I promise not to make any of you cry. Arena. Now and forever. Roswi, yes. I promise to make you happy. Isaka. I'll keep my wifely duties to you and you alone, along with being a mother to our daughter. Issei. Perfect, now let's get you back to your seats. I have 2 more songs to perform. He walked them back and as he got into the VIP booth a spotlight was put on him and he was handed a mic. Issei. Yuta. Yuta. I have a few worries. Issei. Then don't have them. He took Kano onto the stage with him and she was on his back. She had a massive smile with him the whole song. Issei. I think I got one more song in me. He looked at Yuta and she smiled. Yuta. Then go for it, smiling. The crowd loved the song, and even Yuta got in on it. He just danced with Kano, who was super happy to be with Issei on stage. When he finished singing, he then bowed and left the stage with Kano, and so did Yuta. Arena and the others went back to the VIP room and found Issei and Yuta busy eating like animals, while Kano was just laughing at them. Rias. You didn't eat the whole day, did you? Both mouthful. Nope, we needed to look good before going onto the stage. The Kano. Well then at least eat slowly, you're going to choke. They nodded and slowed down. Issei. Finally, Kano. May I have more, please? Issei. Go for it, my dear, this food is for us. We need to go out and sign a few things and take photos and all, but we will be back. They nodded and they looked at the screen of Issei and Yuta getting swarmed by men and women. Zenobia. Tonight was an amazing experience. I don't think I'll have another like it because next trip not all of us can come with. Arena. But I guess we going to have to see. Hunter vs Prey. After his amazing night in Kyoto, he and Ross packed their things and got on a plane with Yuta and the others and flew off into the night to their next destination. Issei could see the others were sad that he had to leave, but he reassured them he was going to be alright. On the plane, Issei. Tired? How long is this flight? Yuta. Our next stop is from Japan to Germany, so about 14 hours and 30 minutes. Issei. Tired? Great. He pulled Roswius to his side and got comfy with her in his seat. She shrugged and got comfy on his chest. The rest of them decided to sleep as well since they knew it was going to be a long flight. While Issei slept, he was in a different place. There were no doors, no tests, no house, just fire surrounding him, like the first time he met Dryag. Issei. Hello. He turned around a few times and didn't see anything, but there was a massive bright light in front of him that was hard to look at. Issei. Confused, is that my core or something? Nope, that's me. He heard her voice again. Issei. Then I suppose it good to meet you face to face almost. Well, I'm sorry, but I have to cut this meeting short. He woke up again and saw Roswias looking at the marks on his face again. He gave her a kiss, and this time she was more than willing to kiss him back, deeper this time. When they pulled away, he looked deep into her eyes. Issei, quite hey. Roswis, quite hey. Issei. What time is it? Roswis. The usual, around maybe 4 a.m. Issei. I see. He looked to his side and saw the thunderstorm outside. Issei. Let's rest, we still seem far from landing, and we still have till tonight to get there. She nodded and rested her head in the crook of his neck. Roswas. Kauno told us about the knife. Issei. As expected, I'm not sure what that was about, it came flying to my head, but I caught it before it could hit me. Roswas. Weird, please be careful, we don't know this place all too well, and I don't want you hurt. Issei. Sure thing, Rose. She blushed when he called her that. Roswas. How did you know? Issei. I have good hearing and you mentioned it once or twice, I don't remember when, but the name was glued to my brain. Roswas. Well, she going to be happy to know I'm going to be married soon. Issei. Well, maybe after I graduate then we can see. She snuggled deeper into him. Roswas. Works for me. After a few hours, they landed and the warm wind of Berlin blew at them with Issei's advanced hearing. He could hear many people screaming his name in excitement. He smiled and they walked towards the terminal, and within seconds they were escorted away for safety. They were shown multiple cars that they could enter. Issei. Dibs on the G-Wagon. He and Roswas got in and they were taken away. Yuta. Jackass, he could have fitted one more of us. They all nodded in agreement. They watched as they were taken away from another exit and saw the massive crowd in front of the airport. Issei. You know, I wouldn't think my music would spread like this. Roswas. You're right. He looked back at Yuta's car and in the distance he saw someone shoot a large bolt of fire. Time slowed down for him and hit the other guy's cars, taking them out within seconds. He jumped out of his car and sent a slice towards the next one that would hit Yuta's car away and grabbed her out of her car, then grabbed Roswas out of theirs and make a jump into the bushes before their drivers figured out what was going on. Their cars exploded as he grabbed them. Time slowed down for and one moment they were in nice cars, then they were flying through bushes. Yuta. Freaking out, what the hell is going on? Issei. Relax, I'm trying to figure out what is going on. The girls looked confused, then saw the world around them slowly becoming normal and saw the true damage to the cars that were just in. Issei. The guys are dead, damn it. Both of them covered their mouths with their hands in shock. Issei opened his hand slowly. They watched something leave his hand. Roswas. Issei, what was that? Issei. I don't know, but I can see through its eyes. As it got closer he could hear voices. Looks like the Red Dragon Emperor got away. We don't need him alive, just that curse on him, then we can get out of here. He watched them nod and then disappear from the spot. Issei. No time to dwell, we need to move. He picked the two of them up and started running through the mountainside with the two watching him run like a madman. They reached a super secluded spot and took out their phones. Issei. Shit, no signal. He tried moving around trying to find some sort of signal. Yuta. Freaking out, I want to go home, I don't want to be killed, please, I just want to leave. Issei put his phone away, grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her a bit. Issei. Relax, you're not going to die that much, I promise I will slice. Both Roswisi and Yuta looked in shock at the blade moving through his chest. How Brad actually fell for it. He looked back and saw a man standing over him. He had almost an expressionless face with a scar over his lip and long black hair. Issei. Who are you? No one. He pulled out the sword and grabbed him by his neck, slammed him into the ground. Don't bother fighting the drug, it won't leave your system that easily. Issei and the two disappeared and Roswas quickly made a portal to the underworld where everyone was. They saw the two freaking out, both crying uncontrollably. Surziches. Can you realx? With Issei. As he was taken away to a different location, Issei forced himself to fight back, got the man's hand off his neck and pushed him back, giving the two space to breathe. Well, since you intend on fighting, my name is Toji Fushiguro, but that won't matter for you. Issei was trying to get a read on anything but was coming up short with no real readings on him. He pulled out his sword and took a stance. Toji. So a fist fight, huh? With pleasure. He slowly pulled out a sword from something Issei could hardly make out. It looked like there was something there but wasn't. The two collided, swords both clashing with each strike to land a blow on each other, but Toji was faster than Issei and occasionally would hit Issei in the face. He took a knee and was panting heavily. Issei. Tired? What the hell do you want with me? Toji. You, nothing but what, taking refuge in your body, that is something else. Issei. Tired? You can't take drag from me. He tried to force himself up again, but couldn't. He started coughing out blood that was pooling around his body. Toji walked closer to Issei, grabbing him by his neck once more, forcing Issei to look at him. Toji. I don't want you, the dragon or the elemental hiding in you, slowly grins. What I want is the queen of curse that chose you when you unsealed her from her cage. Issei. Confused. What? Blood slowly started running from his mouth. Toji. I hope you had a good life because I'm going to make you wish for death. He took his blade and shoved it into Issei's throat and slid down, gutting him. Issei watched in horror as Toji shoved his hand into his guts and pulled out a ring. A black mass appeared from his body and went to this. He saw the creature coming, full strength and vision around him, and the super large one forming behind Toji. Toji dropped his body and left him to die there. Issei. Crap. He couched more, sending more blood to spread. Bryag fading away. There's nothing I can do. Fading away. I can't do anything either. I'm sorry, Issei. Issei. I just wanted to say goodbye to those I love. The world went dark and he slowly felt like he was sinking deeper into the world around him till it went fully black. In the real world, a man was walking by and found his body. Not dead yet, but close to it. Maybe we can fix this, he seems to have the touch. Back in the underworld, everyone was searching high and low for him. It even made headlines that the band was attacked, and only Yuta was accounted for while Issei was kidnapped and stabbed multiple times. The general public was searching for him as well all over the world. Those close to him only felt dread. They knew this wasn't a good sign. His signature had fallen off the map in both the overworld and the underworld, even with heaven, seeing that the other spirits had passed on wasn't accounted for, which gave them hope. While searching in the underworld, a large screen appeared, and they heard a voice that wasn't welcome anywhere. Well, I want to say that you won't find him. He's long dead, not coming back anytime soon. A man walked into the screen, and he had white hair, and he looked like an older version of Vali. Surziches. Rizivum Lucifer. What is the meaning of this? Rizivum. What else is there to say other than to bring the end of this world for wanting to be peaceful when you know very well we are to be enemies and leave chaos where we walk? They didn't like the smile on his face. They had Issei, and they didn't know where they are. Seraphol. And who are you to decide that the war ended years ago? All the devil kings with Michiel and Azazel stood front and center. Rizivum. I know that the fake leaders are not trying to make threats toward me when we left their greatest asset like this. The screen changed and they saw him behind, held by his throat. Roswis. That's the guy that stabbed him in the chest. Toji. I hope you had a good life because I'm going to make you wish for death. He took his blade and shoved it into the Issei's throat and slid down, gutting him. They watched in horror as Toji shoved his hand into his guts and pulled out a ring, and a black mass appeared from his body and went to Tajas. Toji dropped his body and left him to die there. They had to watch as Issei's body was left there. The screen changed again and Rizame was on the screen again. Rizivum. We got what he took from Stonehenge, isn't that right, Toji? They watched him walk into the picture still covered in blood. Toji. I see some of my old prey that's still waiting for me to kill them. Grins, but who am I kidding? They not even worth the fight. Surziches. Angry, you'll pay for this. Rizivum. Will I know? Don't make me laugh. You don't even know what you are up against. This is your doom. The screen went away and they all started to break down, crying or shedding tears. Riaz. Crying, please no, don't take him from us, please, it's too soon, please be a lie. All of them were crying, and Yaksaka had to block it from Kauno, who was crying about her dad being hurt. She shed tears herself, but neither of them could help it now. Saji. Angry, if Vali doesn't do it, I'll kill him myself. His dragon aura was changing faster than even Sona had thought about seeing for him, and his scales started growing. Tiba. Angry, I'm with you on that one. They could feel a sort of magic changing around them. They could feel the shift in power. Those closest to him just carried on crying, not having the strength to even move. Gabriel and some others started helping the girls. She could feel their broken hearts and shed some tears herself. The world felt like it stopped. After learning about his death, Crosswise went onto Yuta's live stream and announced that Hess dead and was murdered. Then the video ended. It was hard for Mickey and Goro. They wanted to make things right with him, but he was taken away from them. No one said a thing. They hardly ate anything. They went to bed and cried their sleeves to sleep. The next morning the girls all came down and found that Mickey wasn't up, yet they got worried for her, and when they came to the room they saw her laying on the bed and Garo kneeling next to her. They could see she died in her sleep. They tried to come and help him, but he just raised a hand to make them stop. Riaz plus Asia. Tearing up, father please. Garo crying, please just don't leave me alone, I just can't. Arena. Tearing up, Uncle Sniff. They had no choice. They left him alone and went to turn on the TV and saw Yuta performing a song. Yuta said, this was a song we wrote together, we were both meant to sing it, but today it's just me. Everyone felt the emotion behind it, knowing she was close to him as a friend, and they did spend a bit of time together. It was a sad setting. Yuta was alone with some other people, with the whole group dead. It was a massive change for her and everyone else. The others who used to hate him and beat him really felt bad. They never got to apologize to him for it. Yuta. Sniff, we have the last song he was working on, and it is for those who tend to overthink about the bad more than the good. He was like, you so enjoy. We did record a bit of this. After that they had to smile a bit after the song needed. They all weirdly related to it, and it made them feel a bit better. They heard a thud hit the ground upstairs, and when they ran up they found Grau hanging from the ceiling. They started to break down again, and they called Surziches to come and help them. In second, Surziches, Grafia and Azazel with Michiel all arrived and helped them. After that they were all taken to the underworld and Arena to heaven. But no one was happy. The whole Haidu family died in less than a few hours, and no one is bringing them back. It felt hopeless to peruse anything more. Nothing felt right. Back to the night Issei died. We find Issei's body all stitched and bandaged up, laying on a bed somewhere in a dark room. He found himself floating around in a fire void with Drake next to him. It was the first Hess noticed Drake's body changed a bit, but then he noticed they were both in a bubble-like structure made of fire. Issei. Drake. Issei. Issei. What happened to us? Drake. We died, I think, but what doesn't make sense is that we are still together in the spirit realm. He looked, and even with Drake he saw that he could see through him, and the same was with his hands, which was weird. Issei. So we died. No you didn't die. They both looked at the voice and saw a ball of fire talking to them with eyes that looked like they were happy and joyous. Issei. Whoa, what is that? I do not have a name, but do you not recognize my voice? Issei. Wait, the voice we kept hearing was you. Yes, that is correct. Issei. It's still weird you don't have a name. I've never had one before. Issei and Drake came closer and they could feel the heat coming off her. All I know is that I'm completely made of fire and I'm strong. Issei. So, the whole reason I was saved and then a bright light came, then I woke up in the hospital back then was you. Yes, I've been sleeping for a good few years, only recently has it been interesting to be awake. Issei. Interesting, what's a name I can call you? Can I call you Ember? Ember? Yes you can, I like it. They watched as her eyes looked like they were happy and content with everything always. Drake. But what are you? I've never wait a second. Issei. What is it Drake? He could see the confusion on his face. Drake. She's an elemental, a rare creature made of a pure element. They are not easily found, and when you do, they either run away or attack and kill the person that found them. I've only heard things about them from other dragons back in my youth. Issei. But how did you find me? Ember. I woke up on a rainy night and I found you in that cave freezing. I tried to hug you, but I was instead absorbed into your body, and this is where I've been since watching you on your adventures recently. I like Arena, not a big fan of Rainer. She was weird before she was taken away. Issei. Wait, she's gone. Ember. When that man took the ring from you, he took her from your mind entirely. She's been weird since you let her in when we were at Stonehenge. Issei. Maybe it took the form of something or someone I'm familiar with and have a mixed emotional experience too. Greg. Perhaps it was tampering with your dreams because it was here before, but her presence was greater if not more after Stonehenge. Issei. Perhaps that's for something else later, so Ember, mind telling me where we are? He looked outside the bubble and there was nothing but just orange around them. Ember. I call it life. Issei. Why is that? Ember. When you were younger and didn't have much magic in you, I was able to fix your vessel that you possessed, and right now I'm maintaining it, keeping your magic levels back to before you went to Stonehenge, but there's this other power that's building drastically. It's almost unstable. Issei. You mean I'm not fully dead, and what do you mean my body on top of that? Ember. Well, I was the one to heal your body as fast as it did when you ripped out the chest pieces a few months ago. It allowed me to feed you more of my power, so after that, you have Drake's power that is the strongest, then now there is this other power that's so unstable it's almost dangerous to use. Whether Rainer was good or not, she was keeping a balance on it, not letting it rise too much and not letting it deplete. Drake. Almost like it was feeding on your power. Issei. You're right, but I think when I wake up let's see what I can do to control it. But what now? Ember. I'm not sure, but I know I didn't want you to die too. I grabbed your souls and kept them in case your body died, but that man didn't really damage your orangs besides a few cuts here and there. You stabilized fairly quickly. Issei. Thanks, but I think I'm going to have some trouble moving like I used to. Dryag. Indeed, I think we can go to the dimensional gap like this. Nothing seems to be keeping us in relative space-time, so we can see where we can go. Maybe Great Red can assist us on the dragon side of things, you never know. Issei. Ember, can you take us there? Ember. I think so, I can see what I can do. The world around them started to change, looking like the gap. They were surrounded by a bubble that seemed to be made of ember power. The bubble became more dense and protective of them. Ember. So what are we doing here? It's weird. Issei. Looking for the biggest dragon you'll ever see. Ember. Even bigger than Drake. Issei. Yup, Drake looks like a drake still. Drake. He's right. They moved around the gap and then found someone he didn't expect to see. Issei. This is new. Drake. I know. Ember. Who is she? Issei. That is it, that is Office, the dragon god who represents infinity, chaos, and nothingness, known as the Ouroboros dragon. Ember. But it looks like a she. This is confusing. Issei. That is its own choice to look like that. I stopped questioning it a while ago. Greg. He's right, we really did stop questioning it a while ago. It would be better for you if you do the same. Just remember that it can choose to look like whatever, so many different things. Ember. I see, I still have a lot to learn while watching you guys. I fell asleep for a bit of it, I'm not sure how long though. Issei. Don't worry about it, you'll catch up soon enough. They came closer and they could see Office didn't look like its normal self, almost weakened to a great extent. Office. Oh, look, Issei and Drake are here to belittle me more. Issei. Not even close. If you take a look, you'll see we have a very different situation going on, but we still seem to be alive. Call it an outer body experience. It turned around and looked and saw both of them disembodied with a dangerous elemental keeping them together. Office. So they got to you too, huh? Issei. Mind telling what is going on? Office. Rizivum took most of their powers to make his own and then cast me aside after I helped him and he left me here. The plan is to release 666 and destroy everything that wronged him, which just so happened to be life itself. I wasn't too fazed by it because it would affect me in the gap, but after he took my powers it changed everything. He now has access to the Queen of Curses on top of my own power, which is a threat in its own well-being. Issei. Well, I had the queen just a little over a month, but now I'm not sure it was able to do a lot, and when I used its powers it was useful, but what is going to happen to Vali and his group? Office. They left a while ago. I haven't seen them much. I remember the blonde girl talking loudly about training. Issei. Well, perhaps they still doing their own thing as we speak, but now what do you know about this Queen of Curses? Office. It is evil, made off negative emotions and they feed on them. She has the ability to create and do anything she wants. She could hurt anything she wanted. She could even give me a run for power. She was tamed once, and when the tamer died she was trapped in Stonehenge till someone of his caliber could release her and she would bond with him. Greg. So, then what do we do now? If they have those things everyone that helped us will get killed. Issei. He's right, we need a plan to stop them. Office. Says the one that left his body unmonitored. He looked at his hands and then realized that she was right. Now he's only got luck on his side. Drake and Ember were ready to leave and tried to float away, but they noticed that Issei isn't coming with them. They turned back to see him still standing looking at the lowly dragon. Issei. Office, do you want to come with us? Office looked at him confused, not knowing what he is doing. Office. Why are you being kind to your enemy? Issei. Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I'll see if I can find a quiet place for you. Office. He held out his hand for Office to take, but it looked at him. Office. I'll come with you, but as it is you can't touch anything, as you would call it. You're a ghost. Issei. Oh yeah, I forgot. They moved through the dimensional gap till they came across a mountain-sized rock casting a shadow over them. Ember. Hey, how come it got so dark suddenly? Office. Look closer. They all looked and saw a huge red dragon flying over them. Great Red. Drake. Greg. Great Red, it's good to see you. I wish to ask of you for a favor. Great Red. Depends, you have the brat with you. Office grimaced after being called a brat, but Issei calmed it down. Issei. Hey Great Red, I am Drake's host, but my body was hurt. I was already showing signs of being my own dragon, but I think that was now changed. Great Red stopped flying and Office just looked at him with wide eyes. Great Red. What dragon were you turning into? Issei. A fire dragon. I think my powers and firepower on the dragon side skyrocketed when Drake turned me into a dragon and I ripped out my evil pieces that would make me a devil. Great Red. As it seems you took the name and power of an underling I once had. Greg. You had an underling. Great Red. Yes, I can rebuild your body and heal it and embed some of my power in you to make sure it won't be so easily lost and to help kill whoever tried to kill you. Issei. Thanks, it means a lot. Ember. What about me? Issei. You can take the spot you always had, but this time I want to see if we can use your fire more. How does that sound? Ember. It sounds alright to me. They watched Great Red hit himself with his tail and knock off a piece of flesh. Issei, Drake and Ember were all taken, and Issei's body started to form around him. He watched as his bones started to regrow, and the flesh and blood started to form around the bones. Then he felt a heartbeat feel stronger start. Then he felt what felt like his brain was being squeezed into a small box. Then he managed to open his eyes and they started glowing red and his hair turned black. He then felt a rush of power surge through his body. He watched as green and yellow lines formed all over his body. He landed on the piece of floating rock next to Office, who was watching. Great Red. Issei, use the power I have given you well. Issei. Mind if I ask what it was? Great Red. I completed your dragon transformation, making you 100% dragon, no devil. Nothing. 100% dragon that can do as much damage as Drake and Albion could have done in their prime. Issei. Thanks, but how do I turn into one? Great Red. Feel the flow of dragon blood run through your veins and then bring it out like the boosted gear and you'll turn into your dragon. Issei. Thanks. He looked at Office and saw a bit of sadness on its face. Issei. Want to come with me to get your powers back? It nodded and looked at him. Issei. Now then, can I refer to you as she, because to call you it just doesn't sit well with me. Office. Yes, you can. Issei. Alright, let's go. She jumped on his back and he opened his wings and they looked larger than he had last seen his dragon wings. He took off and then slowly started catching a flame. His skull started to turn into a dragon skull and then smoke started trailing off his body and he had turned into a dragon with a skeletal head and large horns growing out of his back. He picked up speed and the fire started to spread in front of them and he managed to open a portal, taking them back to the human world. He sat up as he was and found that they were there. Should be pain is gone, but there is a massive scar going down his chest. He looked around and found himself deep in a forest. He took in a deep breath of air and then took in his surroundings. You know, I never thought that you would wake up so soon. Issei. He turned back and saw an old man bringing him some tea. "Sit, young man, I stitched you up when you were left near my home. I heard the voices, so I came to see what was going on and found you on the ground. I must say the other man did quite a number on you." He sat in front of the man and took the tea. He couldn't smell anything wrong with it, besides it being super bitter. Issei. "Thank you, sir, but where am I to begin with? And who are you?" "My name is Yuji," smiles, "and you in my home deep in the Japanese forest hidden with cursed energy." Issei. "Thank you for helping me." Yuji. "Don't mention it. When I saw you, you reminded me of myself back when I was your age, but tell me, do you still have the Queen of Curses?" Issei. "How did you know I had it?" "But no, that man named Toji took it." Yuji. "So it seems Hess back again." Issei. "What do you mean again?" Yuji. "Fear is a technique that channels one soul into a different body, allowing the body to gain the physical attributes of said soul. But Toji's soul is too strong and dangerous. He was killed by my teacher and then brought back years later, and he was even worse, but it seems they brought him back again." Issei. "Damn, that's intense, but how did you know I had the queen?" Yuji. "Because I have the king of curses inside myself as you had the queen. The king is worse, much worse. He was the maker of a lot of the techniques you see today, and he can use them at will, and even reuse them as he sees fit." Issei. "Can you help me with this power?" Yuji. "Sure I can, but I know you have other matters you want to see through first. Pick, either I help you with this, or you go back to your family and friends and never find me again. You have such an untapped resource of cursed energy you could kill them on accident." Issei. "Fine, I'll stay, but what is going on in the world?" Yuji. "The world stopped because of your death. Everyone is mourning your passing." Issei. "Then let's get to work, but I want to see the world for the last time in a while." Yuji. "I suppose that's fine, but try and not to come into contact with people, mainly now their negative emotions, and your overflowing cursed energy will make monsters like no other." Issei. "Understood." He got up and flew out of the building and went high into the air and saw the billboard showing Issei and saying "Rest in peace." He landed back near the house and saw Yuji watching him from his home. Issei. "Well, here's to working together." He held his hand out and then Office shook it, and so did Yuji. "Office. Let's see what damage we can do." Issei. Yuji. Smiling, "But the first movies." Issei. "Huh. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left." Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.